Using technology in an early elementary classroom is uniquely challenging. Since students are still learning to read, they need instructions read aloud to them. Since students don't know how to type, they need programs that will allow them to draw or record an audio response instead. And of course, students at that age don't know how to use laptops yet, which is why lots of early education classrooms opt for iPads instead. And in this video, I'll be showing you 7 of the best iPad apps you can use in your early education classroom. And best of all, they're all totally free. Hey everyone, this is Sam Carey with New EdTech Classroom, and on this channel we show you everything you need to know about teaching with technology. The first app we're going to take a look at here is Seesaw. I'm starting with Seesaw because Seesaw is not just an app that's great for early elementary school activities, it's also an app that you can use as a learning management system to be able to organize different materials for students and even communicate with parents. You can see up here on the top left-hand side that I have lots of classes already created. And when I select one and then select to add students, you'll see that I'm prompted to add my students' names. And then when I do, it generates a QR code or just a numerical code that I can share with students. And this will allow them to sign in without using an email address. After you've added your students, click on the green add button, click assign activity, and that's going to take you over to a portal where you'll be able to access a bunch of pre-created assignments. I'll click on the community tab here and then check out these drop-down menus. Here you'll see that I can select from some different grade levels as well as different subject areas. So I'll go ahead and choose math here. Then if I wanted to look for a particular activity, like say something like addition, I could search in the search box, or I could just scroll around and see what comes up. So here, for example, if I choose this fill the 10 frame activity, I can see the template that a teacher already created. I can check it out by clicking on it. And I can also see the instructions that the teacher already wrote, as well as the audio-based instructions that students could listen to. If I want to assign this, I'm just going to click assign, and then that will assign it to my whole class. And now I can view this activity and actually check it out. So let's take a quick look at what this would look like from the student end here, just so we can see all the different interactive tools that students can use. So Seesaw is really optimized for early education because it has these drawing tools and also the ability for students to add audio and even images and video to an assignment. So for this particular activity, if a student toggles the instructions on, they can see that they are supposed to use the drawing tool, and then they're going to be marking the number that is reflected in each of the frames. So what they're going to do is select one of the drawing tools. They can choose a different color here, and then they would just mark with their finger 5 marks to represent the number 5. They click the green check mark to submit the assignment. And then back on the teacher side, when I click on the assignment, I can see all of the work that my students have already completed. I can click on my sample student here, and that's going to pull up the assignment that we just did. And as a teacher, I also have the ability to give my students feedback. And here you can see that I can also record an audio response if my students don't yet know how to read. Now, the next app that I want to show you here is Khan Academy Kids. Khan Academy Kids is similar to Seesaw in that teachers can also create accounts and then create assignments for students from that account. So here, after I've signed into my account as the teacher, I can see that I have an area where I can create assignments. And what I can do is just search from some of these different activities at the top. So you'll see that there are some different phonics practice activities. There are some foundational reading skills activities, math activities, as well as these logic activities, which are working memory, pattern recognition type activities. So if we hop back over here to one of these letter activities and click on lowercase a, here I can preview the activity before assigning it to students. These activities will start with an introductory video that's going to explain a concept to students. So here students are learning about the letter A and the sound that it makes, and then they're given instructions to drag and drop the letter that corresponds to the sound. So here the student would just drag the letter A into the jar. And then when they're done, they're going to click on the green check, and that's going to take them over to another activity. Now, in addition to these activities, there are also books in Khan Academy Kids. So for example, if you were to click on a book, you could turn this into an assignment as well. So I'll click preview here, and then I'll be given an option to have the book read aloud to me or to read it myself. So I'm going to click read to me here, and we can see what this read aloud is going to look like.
The moon is the largest and brightest object in the night sky.
In addition to books, there's also videos here on various topics and also some instructional videos that you could assign to your students as well. Another great free app for early elementary students is EdTech, which, like Khan Academy, also has a large archive of books and videos that you can assign to students. EdTech will allow you to create a teacher account and then create assignments for students. When you go to the search tab, you can search for different books based on topics. So for example, if you know that students like animals, you might select pets. And then from there, you can also search for books based on different age ranges. So here I could select 5, for example, show results. And I could also search for books based on reading level if I wanted to. So let's click on this book here, Penny Hen, so that we can see what it looks like. So here I can start to scroll through it. And similar to Khan Academy Kids, you'll see that it's going to read this book aloud to students as well.
Penny Hen can fix her nest.
And like Khan Academy, there's also lots of videos here that you could assign to students. So let's say you just had a student read a book in either Khan Academy or EdTech, and you want to have them process what they've just learned. You can use this other free app, Tunetastic, as a way for students to create their own stories that follow a plot diagram. So Tunetastic allows students to select from some templates with pre-created plot lines. So here, for example, we can see that this template is just going to have a beginning, middle, and end. And then the student would click on one of the different parts of the plot line here and start to build their story. Students can choose from any of these pre-created settings, or they can draw their own. So let's just say, for example, that we want to choose this one for Atlantis. Then students can also bring in these different characters just by dragging and dropping. These characters are also editable, so if they wanted to change the appearance of the character, they could do that here as well. To add another character, the student would just click on another one, and they could also choose to just draw their own here as well. And then once they're ready, they will be brought into this scene creator. So students will just drag the characters to where they want them to start, click on the green start button here, and then it's going to record their audio through the iPad. So I could create a scene. Hello, nice to meet you. Hello, I'm an explorer and I'm looking for the lost city of Atlantis. The lost city of Atlantis, well, here it is. You're literally in the middle of it. What? I can't believe it. Okay, so then they hit the stop button, and then it's going to actually play that recording back for them. They can choose some background music. So for example, proud here. And then they can preview the story here by clicking on the finish button. Hello, I'm an explorer and I'm looking for the lost city of Atlantis. The next app that I'm going to show you here is Scratch Junior. Scratch Junior is the younger kids version of Scratch, which is a drag and drop coding program. And it's a really great app for starting to introduce computational thinking to younger students. So you'll see here on the Scratch interface that if a student clicks on the question mark, they can play this quick introductory video to introduce them to the basics of how they would be creating their code in Scratch. And then they can also look at these different sample projects, and then they'll be able to see how that code was created. So the way Scratch works is that you click on the flag and then the animation is going to run based on the code that was created below. So this would be a way for students to be able to see a finished product and then be able to model their own code after something like that. When a student is ready to create their own project, they would just go here to the new project button, and then students will just be able to drag and drop these different coding blocks down below, and they can change the duration for these different actions. and things like that. Now, I actually recently learned how to do scratch coding myself because I ran a volunteer after school Girls Who Code club. And what I would recommend doing is rather than just kind of starting from this totally blank slate, you can start with one of the sample projects, even have this projected up for students to be able to see, and then have students recreate a project like this and manipulate some of the different pieces in here. So they could change just the time duration for one of the different coding blocks, and that's going to help them get a better understanding of how all of it works. But you'll also be surprised at how quickly many of your students pick this up with actually very little instruction on your part. The next app that I'm going to show you is one of PBS's free iPad apps, and this is PBS Kids Games. Now, PBS also has a videos app if you're interested in checking out that too. You can see that these games are kind of random. They're not so much attached to specific academic skills, and that's why I say that it would probably be most effective to use as a brain break or a reward. Let's check out Space Bop here. You'll see that each of the games starts with a short video introduction, and then afterwards they'll do some sort of drag and drop activity to actually play the game. The last app I'm going to show you here is Breathe, Think, Do by Sesame Street. And this app would also be an effective one to use for a brain break, or if you have something like a peace corner or a calm down corner in your classroom, or if you're working with students on developing some social emotional skills, particularly around how to calm down. So this app shows different characters experiencing frustration, and then the students are going to actually help the character calm down by doing different breathing activities. So for example, in this activity, the students would be helping this character take deep belly breaths as a way to practice calming down. In this other activity, students are popping the bubbles to help give the monster advice about how to put on their shoes. These 7 free iPad apps should cover pretty much all the bases for your early education classroom. And if you're interested in exploring more about all the different ways that you can use Seesaw in your elementary school classroom, then be sure to check out that video above.